Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday Mortgage Coach call. Every Tuesday morning, we're here to deliver the industry's absolute best sales training experience. So join us every Tuesday, 9 o'clock. We are totally dedicated to both your personal and your professional success as a mortgage professional. As you all know, we are dedicated and focused by the values that we have. Wow, how do we provide you with technology and tools to surpass the expectations of your borrowers and your realtors? How do we do that with education? And everything we do, we just try to do at the highest level of excellence. So for today, I have our special guest, Coach Mike White. Mike, welcome to the call.
Dave, thanks a lot for having me. It's always a pleasure to do the Mortgage Coach call.
Well, it's always great to have you. All the loan officers that you coach and train say great things, and they're great users of Mortgage Coach. So I'm grateful for what a great leader you are in the Mortgage Coach community. It's great stuff. So I want to start things off, and Mike, feel free to jump in as much as you want and just do a bit of a debrief from last week's call with Realtor Glenn Bill. And we really focused on what do realtors really think about loan officer marketing. And we wanted to really get down to what is the candid perspective they have with the type of messaging, the type of emails, the type of marketing they get, and the type of selling. So just a little bit of a debrief on that for 5 minutes, and then we'll get into the meat of the call. So I posted this question last week, and I would like to review this question one more time. I want to see if you guys changed your answers. But what makes you more money, Mortgage Coach community, everybody that's on this call right now, selling or marketing? What makes you more money and really helps you with your business, selling or marketing? Now, again, there's a lot of different ways to define selling and marketing. I think of selling as either one-on-one when you are personally influencing, you're connecting with someone, whether it's learning what's important to them, whether it's teaching them a new idea. It's the one-on-one part of this business. And I think of marketing it's the one-to-many. It's the emails, it's the open house flyers, it's content. Now, again, you could broaden the definition of marketing to everything that you kind of wrap around your selling. But when I ask that question, what makes you more money, selling or marketing? By the way, only 42% of you have voted. Let's push it up. And Coach Mike, you weren't on last week's call, so you don't know how people answered it. But how do you think loan officers are going to answer this question? What do you think is good? What percentage are going to say selling over marketing?
I would be surprised if 60% didn't say marketing versus selling.
Okay. Well, you are in the Mortgage Coach community, so the answer is done, closed, and there are the results. So 65% said selling and 35% said marketing. So
wonderful part about that is that obviously your guys get it, and that's a testament to what you've got going on. That they're that far ahead of the curve thinking about that, because most of the people that you'll come in contact with will tell you that they're not marketing enough, that they're not getting it, they don't have enough stuff to get out there. So I think it's an important thing, and again, it's a testament to the audience.
Yeah, well, by the way, it's really close to what it was yesterday, or last time we did it. So couple thoughts. First of all, anybody that answered marketing, I would really appreciate it in the questions part of this GoToMeeting if you put in what is it about your marketing that's making you more money. If there's a specific email that you send, a marketing piece, you've got a Zillow lead strategy. What are you doing from a marketing perspective that's making you money as a loan officer? Is it social? You've got some type of Facebook strategy? And again, my answer on this is evolving. I don't want to say one's more important than the other. They're both really important. And depending on how you define marketing matters. To me, what I want to make sure is this, that everybody who's a mortgage coach is literally, they're great marketers and they're great salespeople. And when I think of how we've designed Mortgage Coach, I mean, it's both selling and marketing automation. It's automating a great borrower conversation in a way that's valuable to realtors, but the way we're packaging and wrapping it and the way it's shareable is great marketing. So one big takeaway from Glenn Bill, this was his quote: "Give me what I want to receive, not what you want to give me." So just a great reminder. This was, when we looked at a lot of the marketing that loan officers were sending realtors, this was a pretty common response from the realtor. Just blah, blah, blah. Been there, done that. This was a common comment. It took me too long to figure out the message. What's the loan officer saying here? So, less is more. Why would I call him? I don't even know him. I have no idea who this person is. So again, context is king in marketing and selling. The circumstances that form that event, that idea, and how much people can really understand it and get value from it. Relevance is king. And again, everybody on this call, you guys know this stuff, so this is not new information for you, but I do recommend everybody really audits what you're currently doing and what can you do to be more relevant. What can you do so that when you communicate, whether it's a mortgage coach or it's in your marketing, that less is more, because that's what realtors want. They want you to net it out quickly, So by the way, Mike, anything you want to add, because I know you've seen Glenn speak a number of times around the message, anything you want to wrap up with on the debrief from that call last week?
Well, Dave, I think it's really important that your mortgage coach people get to go and listen to that interview. This is not about getting in front of every realtor on the planet. This is about getting in front of the realtors who get it and the realtors that are doing the business. And so when you get somebody like Glenn to come by and tell you the truth and put out there in front of you the realities of what people like him are looking for and what certainly they're not going to respond to. I see all the time, I've had realtors call me and say, why are all mortgage people now hiring telemarketers to call my office trying to set appointments with somebody I don't know? I mean, Glenn put it in a very straightforward way here in the fact that, what does it mean to me? Give me what I need, not what you want to give me, I think are great words to live by. And understand, he's telling you in his own words how you get in front of a producer like he is. And so those words should echo very loud and resonate very clearly in each of your minds. If you want to work with realtors, especially the good ones, you've got to listen to the good ones when they tell you what it is that they want. And I think I wouldn't argue with this list at all. I spend a lot of time talking to realtors, as you well know, and these are the same things that keep coming up. Stop giving me garbage. I don't need another coffee cup. Let's give me stuff that I can use today that will help me make more money, and then we can, really talk about this being a referral partner relationship as opposed to, you sitting there asking me for a deal.
Yeah, no doubt. So there was a few things when I listened to the playback of that call where Glenn talked about how deep you need to go. If you want to get a meeting with Glenn, you can't just look at his pictures, marketing, and give him a call. You've got to research him on LinkedIn. You've got to look for people where you have a common thread. And when you reach out, it needs to be, show me, you know me. That's what I heard him say over and over and over. When you market to me and when you reach out to me, show me, you know me. And the more you can do that and do that in a valuable way, netting it out quickly, the better. And so, again, just a couple of last points before we move on and we get into your call, Mike. Where I put old news is, I want you guys to think about something. What's the difference between something that's really newsworthy and awesome to share with a realtor and something that is blah, blah? Sometimes it's only 2 or 3 days. Some news breaks, for the first day or two, that's a valuable update. And the more you can be timely and be relevant, not just recycled, that's valuable. But when it's a week later and the whole industry is still just recycling that news, again, I'm not saying don't do it, because there is something, branding, staying top aware, but realize so much of that is noise. And we need to, as an industry, really focus on how can we be more relevant and how can what we send to our clients, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a need-to-need meeting, or whether it's an email message, we want to get as little noise as possible and as much value as possible. So, Mike, let's formally start our conversation for today. I love your message because you just net it out. You get to the basics. You know, you've been very successful as a coach, helping loan officers that are closing less than 5 loans who are struggling really break that barrier. So for anybody that hasn't heard from you before, if you could just kind of in a minute, you know, tell a little bit about your philosophies as a coach and trainer, and then let's talk about how we can gamify selling as a loan officer, and then we'll get into price to advice and really drill down on the borrower experience.
Sure, Dave. You know, one of the things that I've learned in this business from the 30 years plus that I've been at this is to follow the numbers and look at the things that are happening around you. And when, you know, people like you, Dave, and I, when we talk and we do the surveys and we find out what our industry is made up of, and we find out that 70% of the people in our industry are not closing 4 loans a month. And so when you look at that and say, what's the difference between the 70% who close 4 loans or less a month and the 30% that do more than that? And by and large, the biggest thing is when you understand that it's the fundamentals, is that people really don't understand what the job is. They don't understand the time frame that it's supposed to take. And clearly, by setting the expectation up front and knowing how the process is going to work, that you create an environment where you're not spending a lot of time in your workday doing things that don't make you money. And that, if I had one thing to share with everybody, is, boy, if you want to do better, then just look at where you're spending your time and spend 1 week just documenting what you do. And then figure out, is that something that's is that something that's generating the income, or is it something that I'm doing to hang on to the income that I already generated? And if you're doing more of the latter than you are of the former, you really need to make a change with that. And that's why when you and I talk about this, Dave, we talk about understanding the basis, and as you coined the word, gamifying the mortgage business, because for me, there are set things that you can do. You can schedule them, you can do them, you can keep score, you can improve, you can get better. And when you get better, it takes you less time to make more money. So that's really it in a nutshell, the philosophy. It's really drilling down on the fundamentals and making sure everybody understands what they're in the process of doing so that they can do it better and in less time. Because as you know, I don't spend a lot of time talking about personal lives and all that other stuff. I'll leave other people to handle that. My job as a coach, as far as I'm concerned, is to take the time that you've dedicated to the work part of your life and make it as productive and as profitable and as an enjoyable experience as I can make it. And that's what I focus on, and I believe if you get down to the basics and you have some fun with it by using some tools and some things that you're used to doing, you can do a lot better in a lot less time and enjoy your business more.
So let's get into, you know, call it gamifying selling as a loan officer, because you have a framework around how people, you know, can keep score with their day-to-day jobs. Now, first of all, for many of you, this is not going to be the first time you've ever heard this idea, and for some of you, you've got systems and ways that you're tracking and you're measuring the metrics that guide your sale. I would like, first of all, in the question or in the chat area, I would like to know if you've got a way that you're tracking your day-to-day prospecting. You know, share what it is. You know, share, I use blank. You know, I just want to get a feel for just how many people on the call are already tracking and managing their metrics of their day-to-day selling. Mike, why don't you walk us through your philosophy, and everybody follow along. If this is a reminder for you, it's an opportunity for you to audit and review your current method. And if this is something you're not doing, by all means, something I hope you start doing after the call. Go ahead, Mike.
Sure thing, Dave. You know, first I start out with telling people that the number one priority that you have each day when you go to work as an originator is prospecting. And so what we do is we carve out a minimum of 2 hours every day to focus solely on prospecting, no matter how busy it is, no matter what's going on. The first thing that we make sure that happens in our schedule is 2 hours between the hours of 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to engage in the practice of prospecting, whatever it is that we call that. The second part that I look at here is understanding what are the components that prospecting should be and the things that I do that I can monitor to make sure I'm doing something every day that's turning into the things that I need to produce loans. And so we're either talking to people, we're either moving people through the system, or we're meeting new realtors or new referral partners, or we're discussing with them the strategies that we're going to use to generate business. And so if you track those three ingredients, how many people did I speak to, how many stages did I move people through the process, and how many productive meetings did I have where we talked about a strategy and made a commitment to work with each other or actually do the things that generate opportunities for the two of us. And it's much like we've talked about, playing baseball. How many contacts do I need? Well, contacts are singles. You don't score any runs by hitting singles, but if you put enough of them together, you do. Moves. Well, if you look at each one of the bases, suspect, prospect, applicant, closed client, every time I take somebody to one of the bases, that's considered a move. Did I create a new contact in my database? Did I pull credit? Did I pre-approve them? And then, of course, did they fill out an application, and did they close? Each one of those is considered to be a move. Give that a point value. Now, for me, I try to make it simple. I talk about a 30-point day. And what's a 30-point day consist of? Well, any combination of moves, contacts, and meetings where the value is 1 point for a contact, an actual conversation where you spoke to somebody, 3 points for a move, which means pulling credit, issuing a pre-approval, taking an app, closing a loan, or 10 points for a meeting, which is where you sat down with a referral partner and actually engaged in using a strategy where you both can generate opportunities. That's what we talk about when we're talking about gamifying, is have intention, schedule the time, monitor the score.
So, folks, I don't know if it gets any more basic than that. Again, easier said than done, but 1 point for every conversation, so completed phone call where you spoke to a borrower or a realtor. 1 point, or excuse me, 3 points for every move, where you actually move someone through the sales process. By the way, a total cost analysis would be a move. And 10 points for every time you meet with a referral partner, a realtor, a financial planner. You have a strategic conversation to move that. If you get 30 points in a day, you win the day. I mean, pretty straightforward stuff. Again, easier said than done, but if you have 30 points a day, Mike, what do you see for loan officers that do that? What do you see?
It's pretty simple, and a lot depends on the individual loan officer's conversion rates and what type of business they're looking for. So we got to be a little bit general. But the reality of it is those things will generate 5 to 7 credit pulls, which lead to 3 to 5, pre-approvals, which lead to somewhere between 2 and 3 closed loans. So think about that. If you're closing 2 loans a week on a 4.3 weeks per month, and we just sit there and say, okay, here we go, then what happens? It becomes monumental that these numbers start to grow. It's a little over 8 units a month. And that's always the first step, is if you can get your business as an individual loan originator where you're generating that 5, 7, 8, 9 loans a month in and month out. And if you're doing that, what happens is some of you will develop really high level of skill and move on to that next level where you're doing 10 or more. But in most cases, 8 loans a month is 2 to 3 times the national average of what a regular loan officer does.
Hey, by the way, Mike, you were skipping out. Is it me? Oh.
Is that better? Hello?
Well, I think it might be me. I am going to, Mike, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I am going to call in. You keep talking. I think it might be my internet connection.
Okay.
And once I get called in, we'll get into the whole price to advice of the borrower conversation.
No
So
problem.
go ahead and I'll be
So the point that I'm trying to make when it comes to creating the game is understanding, is breaking down your numbers. And each of you have a different method or a different way that you want to keep score. But you really do need to simplify it and give yourself 2 or 3 or 4 areas that you want to track. How many new phone calls or how many new clients am I generating every day? How many times am I pulling credit? What's the percentage of those credit pulls turning into pre-approvals? What percentage of those pre-approvals are turning into loan applications into the pipeline? And what's the percentage of those closing? When you start following those numbers, then all you have to do is track your activities. What do I do every day that generates that phone call? What do I do every day that generates that new referral or that referral partner? And then once you have that filter in your life that says everything that I do is either generating a new loan opportunity or a new referral partner opportunity or working one of the strategies with my referral partners that we've discussed, your life gets a lot simpler, a lot quicker. So Dave's got this set up with getting the sales game on. I love the little trophy, by the way.
Yeah, right on. So let's start getting into the what do you say. I mean, the concept that we know, the last time you and I did a call together, we really broke down the whole mortgage process. So we talked about selling, execution, and just the whole process. And we really broke down that, the typical loan officer spends somewhere between 5 and 8 hours when you look at all the man hours, woman hours of the loan. We looked at the 12 steps, the 15 milestones. I mean, we really got into the basics of everything a loan officer goes through. What are the 12 steps? How long does that take you? What are the 15 milestones of every single loan? And everybody, not only did we record that call, but Coach Mike and I made I think it was a 36-minute call that was really designed to help you audit, your perfect loan process and really identify where is it awesome and perfect and where can you improve it. So that was last call. And again, we have a training tool that you can review to really audit your process. Today is going to be about going from price to advice from a selling perspective. And doing that in a way that's not only awesome for the borrower, but doing that in a way that's a competitive advantage for the realtor. So that, one, you're able to actually win new realtor relationships because your borrower conversation is so modern, such a wow experience. And two, realtors want to give you more referrals, not because of the loan officer you are, but because of the experience that you create and you're just easy to do business with. So, Mike, I'm going to review some high-level things, and then let's put your color and your philosophies around that.
Sure thing.
So I this concept that, I came up with 15-plus years ago called wow selling, which Mortgage Coach was really created as a tool to help loan officers wow sell. The first part of the process is curiosity. Coming to the conversation with a borrower or a referral partner and really be curious about them, ask questions, listen, emotionally connect, really learn from that borrower or that realtor, whatever it is. For now, I guess let's just focus on the borrower conversation, Mike, and then we'll talk about that for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll close out today's call, really drilling down on the realtor. So when you think of this step of going from a loan officer that delivers price to advice, what comments do you have around here?
Well, Dave, it is pretty straightforward in the fact that that I believe that all loan originators really need to work on becoming experts and authorities. I think if you get involved in the price game, that unfortunately you're going to lose deals to the best liar. I mean, it's just the way it is. There are people still out there in our industry who will say or do anything to bring a deal in the door, and they don't care about the quality of that experience for the customer. They don't care whether that person ends up getting what they were promised. They really have no investment in that experience because it's a one-and-done thing for them. For me, it's always been about creating the experts and the authorities in the business who treat this as a profession and who are sitting there putting together opportunity and options for their clients. And one of the things I like about Mortgage Coach as a product is because it makes that simple. From being able to put the information on an easy to read and easy to understand format, to being able to use the video to walk the people through the process. It's not just about handing them a slip of paper with some numbers on it. You're talking to them in person about the same thing of their numbers. And it creates an environment where they understand you're talking to them about their specific situation. And the good part about that is as we all have been in this business, most of the time we're doing deals and there's more than one borrower. And sometimes information is lost on one that the other one gets or may have misunderstood. And using something like the Edge presentation and the video is so incredibly valuable for two reasons. First of all, they can go back and look at that information over and over and over again to make sure they're clear on what you said. And the second part about that is everybody else involved in that transaction has an absolute in-stone record of what you said, what you shared, and how you shared it, whether it be the realtor or the parents of the borrowers or a cousin or anybody else. The reality of this is it becomes a very powerful tool because what you can do is you can share the options. And I think I read somewhere that 92% of all the loans being done right now, all right, are still 30-year fixed-rate loans. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, that can't possibly be of benefit to everybody that's out there. I'm looking at all the people who are engaged in refinancing right now. And many of them are refinancing to lower their payment or shorten their term, but very few are being given the option of what their current payment is worth in today's dollars. And so when you looked at that and be able to put that information out there for people, when you're delivering that type of value to the client, because sometimes when it comes to refinancing a client, and I know many people are involved in refinances right now, sometimes what's best for that client is not refinancing at all. It's selling and moving on to the next house. And that, believe it or not, is a thing that most loan officers miss is as a way of bringing new opportunity back to their realtors or remaking those connections or establishing new relationships. And so when I used to be in the business and when I was doing loans on the day-to-day, I remember my realtors telling me, hey, I hate it when rates go down because loan officers disappear and we can't find them because they're all doing refis. And my people used to love me because I was still out there, I was still in front of them, and I was bringing them business. Because every conversation that I would have with my client about refinancing would begin with the question, are you in your forever home? Is this the place you're planning on staying for the rest of your life? Because if it's not, we should take into consideration what your payment is in value in today's dollars or in today's marketplace. And you'd be amazed at the number of people who will make the choice that selling and buying is better for them right now than lowering their payment by a few $100s a month.
So let's talk about, you know, are you currently creating Mortgage Coach videos? I want to push a poll question out because again, some of the content we're sharing right now, this is not new for you guys. You know, you're Mortgage Coach members. You come to our Tuesday calls, and you know, you've heard this message. You've heard it. You're hearing it in different ways right now. But I want to find out where the community is right now. Everybody on this call, only about 30% of you have voted. Come on, guys, let's get it up to 70% of you vote so that we can move forward. Almost at 50%. If you're holding out, the quicker you vote, the faster we can move into the rest of the call. So Mike here, I've got a good statistically valid sampling here. So far, I mean, doing pretty good. I mean, we've got, you know, almost 40% of the Mortgage Coach community, you know, delivering videos. So that's solid, you know. I mean, we're making progress. So folks, let me walk through some thoughts, and I want to say it a different way, especially in the context of the selling and marketing. So for all of you that said marketing is making you more money, I want you to think of every time you deliver a mortgage experience to a borrower, you're taking something that's just an everyday average experience and you're making it awesome. The way you're packaging it, the visual excellence, the way you're making it shareable, the way it's personalized with both the client's information, your company brand, logo, your picture. You're really taking an everyday sales conversation and you're turning it into an awesome sales conversation and an awesome, marketing experience. And again, we all know that the most successful loan officers, they bring leadership. That means there's unique value, there's constructive tension, and they're not afraid to teach something to a borrower and almost debate and have a challenge with that borrower. They're proactive and they drive urgency. So think of every time you're delivering that borrower, talking about going from price to advice, going from an average e-worksheet, but delivering a modern mortgage experience. Think of it as not just selling, think of it as marketing. So again, I don't want to walk through this in the way that I'm teaching you guys because I think everybody on this call has probably heard me go through this a lot. I just want to ask you, where are you at right now? What percentage of your borrowers are getting a great borrower experience where there's a link, it's shareable, every decision maker and stakeholder, whether it's a realtor, whether it's a family member, whether it's the genius father-in-law or the buddy at work, they're able to see what's being disclosed. And by the way, when is the last time you pulled out a Mortgage Coach mobile app and actually walked through this experience yourself? How comfortable and confident are you it's showing the cost of the loan over 60 months, which by the way, I think I've talked about this now multiple times. I don't know how much you've heard it, but that's a future requirement. It will be a requirement as of August 1st that every time you show a borrower, mortgage options, you need to show them the cost of that loan over 60 months. So something that average loan officers are going to find challenging, they're even going to be insecure about, that's just part of, as a mortgage coach, that's how you roll. That's how you deliver options. So, my push today, when we talk about going from price to advice, is to turn this into a daily habit. Everybody gets a link. The more videos, the more audios, the better. I wish every one of you would do it, but I know that everybody's not going to do it, but you really should. So, Mike, before we transition to the realtor conversation and talk about price to advice, from a realtor perspective and what that looks like and how loan officers should be doing it, anything else you want to add to the borrower piece?
Well, like I said, I think, the total cost analysis and the Edge video really do a great job of comparing the numbers. And for those of you who have, not embraced that technology, all I'm asking you to do is go in there and do a few. It takes about 10 or 15 of them to do before you get it down to a really short time frame for it takes you to do this. And I will tell you, my clients who are doing this, not only do their clients and their referral partners appreciate it, but they realize that it actually saves them time. The time they take to put this together is actually saved because they don't get the phone calls of having to go back and re-explain information or give them numbers or it can tell them that the number, what they're remembering of the conversation wasn't accurate. So I'm telling you right now, I know it takes a little bit of work, but for my clients who have engaged in this process and have done it, it's generally 10 or 15, times that you've got to do it. I get them to sit down, do it, roll it out, and make it a habit that they're going to do because I'm telling you, it'll be a big deal. Another actionable activity that you can do with your borrowers is getting out there right now. We all know if you've got any people who are out looking at homes since September or October, maybe even into November, well, it's time to get out there and recertify the value of their pre-approvals. And it's not just the people that you've worked with, but it could be the people, anybody that's out there. If you've been looking for a house more than, if you've been pre-approved for a loan since December, or before December, it's time for you to come back in because guess what? You're now, you can buy more house in today's market than you could before. We talked about asking everybody if they're in their forever home because it is important that you ask that question because all the options need to be on the table because fixed rates aren't the only rate. There are a lot of people who will tell you, well, I don't need to refinance now. I'm going to be moving in 3 years. And so why wouldn't you put them in a 3-1 or a 5-1 arm? So the point here becomes is how do I deliver clear and accurate information? How am I making sure that I'm reviewing all the options when it comes to refinancing and making sure that sometimes refinance means selling their house and buying another one or not getting a fixed rate loan? You've always got to be out there and sharing the purchasing power in today's market of what their old payment is, or maybe even a higher payment if they have an higher income. Some people looking at that and saying, when you got qualified for this loan, we based it upon 30% of your gross income. Your income has gone up in the past 5 years. This would be the same percentage of your income attributed to your house. And clearly, last and not least, and I'll keep saying it, if you don't begin your conversations in any refi situation or with anybody that you're not aware of, and just ask them the question, are you in your forever home? Are you going to be here? Because if you're not, now's the time to make a move, because houses are not going to get any cheaper, and quite possibly the money that we're going to need to borrow to do it is not going to get cheaper either.
So, folks, I hope that purchase power piece is such a big one. For example, with the new FHA changes, a lot of mortgage coach loan officers are creating a total cost analysis where they're saying, hey, based off of old FHA guidelines, this is how much home you can afford, and based off of new FHA guidelines, what is the increased buying power? And then bringing that to their real estate agents to create urgency, to have a valuable conversation around what this means for an individual family, what this means for a realtor. So one thing I'm doing, I call them mortgage strategies. So, a rent versus own is a mortgage strategy. A why buy now analysis with a total cost analysis. That's a mortgage strategy. Old FHA versus new FHA, mortgage strategy. What are some other mortgage strategies that you're using in the market right now that help realtors sell homes? Because at the end of the day, if you can become more than just a pre-qual, let's face it, that is our core job. But the reason I want to push us to do more is because that makes us different. That makes us unique. That gives us incremental value over other loan officers. Because in today's market, there's so many great loan officers that can take a great app, that can problem solve, that keep their promises, that work for a great lending platform. You've got to differentiate. And obviously, your personality and your X factor is part of how you differentiate. But at Mortgage Coach, we want to help you with technology differentiate and add value. So what other mortgage strategies are you using in the market right now to help realtors sell homes? If you could put that either in chat or in the questions and share, what is your top mortgage strategy that's helping realtors sell more homes and helping you deliver more value to borrowers? At some point in the call, I'll go read those notes, and please share. By the way, Mike, any other mortgage strategies come to mind that you know from your clients that they're using to drive value and urgency?
Well, I think one of the things that that you hit on is looking at this from a price versus advice thing is understanding, and I think the differentiation. You went through the whole case there, and you did a call not too long ago with Steve Harney. Steve is one of the most influential people in the real estate community, and Steve did a great call with you guys, and I urge everybody who didn't listen to the call, go back and listen to the Steve Harney call. And I used to work with Steve many years ago when we were both in the industry, I as a lender and him as a realtor, and he used to tell his people all the time, 10% different is 100% better. And I heard him say that, and I watched that in motion, and I will absolutely agree that the differences between the people who get the job or don't get the job, the people that stand out versus the people who don't stand out, sometimes that little bit of differentiation is all you need to make the whole thing go your way. And so when we're talking about this information, we're talking about a tool like Mortgage Coach, when you're talking about doing the videos, when you're talking about looking at people who are refinancing and making sure that they are doing what it is that they should be doing, and maybe that buying or selling might be a better idea for them. When you incorporate those fundamental philosophies into the way that you do business, it gives you that 10% differentiation. And many times it's all you're going to need to win the day.
Right on. So, folks, I just want to remind you, because I don't see as many questions being submitted, what are the mortgage strategies that you're using right now to help realtors sell more homes? Because if you can, use Mortgage Coach and do that, it's a major differentiator. So that's obviously a differentiator and a value point for realtors. If you can create mortgage strategies, illustrate them with the Mortgage Coach, show total cost analysis that do that. And then obviously the core is just every time you get a referral from a realtor, to loop them in. Make sure that they are getting an update. They're in the loop as to what was quoted to the borrower, and they're in a loop in a more efficient way. Let's face it, realtors like Glenn Bill, if you can save them time, if you can just up the ante on the service that you're delivering to the borrowers in a way that's obvious, in a way that they can actually tangibly see, and if it actually saves them time, that's unique. That's valuable. So I would like to see a hand. And by the way, Darcy or Jacob, if you could add a poll question, are you looping in the realtor when you send a total cost analysis? I want to just yes or no. So are you CCing or looping in a realtor when you do a total cost analysis, yes or no? I'll ask that poll question in a few minutes. But Coach Mike, if you could just speak to, one, the feedback you get when your clients are doing this, and what's the advice that you give the people that you coach around looping in the realtor?
Well, I think it's imperative. I don't see any reason for you not to bring that realtor into that discussion because, again, first of all, it shows the realtor that you've engaged that client. It shows them that you have shared with them the information. They get to see word for word and dollar for dollar and example for example exactly what you're saying, so that if the client comes back and says something that doesn't make any sense to them, that they can quickly look at that information and know where they are or possibly even correct it. Again, the piece of the puzzle here is communication and communicating with value and doing so in a place of authority, becoming that expert. And let's be honest, when you share a Mortgage Coach video, the Edge video, and you share the charts, and you share the information laid out the way that you're doing, it is so much better than those pieces of paper that somebody gets where it's handwritten in and you may not be able to read it, and it's so much different. And so my guys, again, not everybody do I have is using Mortgage Coach. Not everybody I have is using the Edge videos, but I will tell you to a person, the people that are using Mortgage Coach are doing better than those that aren't, and the ones who are using the video are doing better than those who are not doing the video. And I don't have to do a lot of statistical analysis. All I got to do is look at the numbers and say to myself, if using this tool and using this product is improving the total experience for your buyer and your referral partner, it makes your job easier and takes you less time to convey information and follow up with it. If you're creating that differentiation in your marketplace that separates you from the competition, why in the world wouldn't you do that? To me, it's an absolute no-brainer that in today's, with all the things that you have to compete at, when you have something that is so simple to put out there and so easy to get people informed and to differentiate yourself from the other guy, why in the world you complicate your life by not doing it, I have no idea.
So, folks, I pushed the poll. I'm less than 50%. Let's give me a vote. Are you CCing the realtor when you send a Mortgage Coach link? Yes or no? Please answer this question. So, again, are you CCing the realtor when you send a Mortgage Coach link? So, good news is more than 50%, so 60% of you are doing it. For all you, on this call, this is the reason why I do repeat, and there's some content. But yeah, I'm repetitive. I've talked about this how many times. Personally, until 80% of you are doing this, I'm going to keep talking about it because this is one of those things that it makes you more money. It makes you more unique. It makes you more valuable. And my job at Mortgage Coach is to teach, train, and push. Obviously, we don't have an accountability partnership together, so I'm not your accountability partner as much as I would like to be. But I am here to evangelize this. I just get too much positive feedback from how much borrowers like this, how much realtors want it. This is a true story, by the way. So I broke my glasses over the weekend, and I went to a glass place to get them repaired yesterday. And I'm talking to the guy, who could repair my glasses. He needed to keep them overnight. He needed to keep them overnight. I needed my glasses, so we popped out the lenses, and he says, "Hey, we'll find you another pair of glasses that fit." And we're walking around the store. There's a guy working behind the desk at a glass repair shop, and he just asked me, what do you do? And I go, I didn't want to make it into a big story. I'm just like, I'm a software company. I really kind of netted it out. I'm a software salesman. He goes, oh, what's the name of your company? And I go, well, we sell software to the mortgage industry. It's called Mortgage Coach. I'm not kidding you guys. He goes, Mortgage Coach? I know, I've heard of Mortgage Coach. And I kind of looked at him like, oh, were you a loan officer before? And he's like, oh, no. My wife and I just bought a house, and our loan officer gave us, all the options and information in one of your reports. He actually pulled out his mobile device. He, told me the story, how his wife works in the emergency room. He does this. They just bought their first home. Anyways, this guy started passionately telling me how much he loved what we do and how we do it. So by the way, folks, you think that made my day. But again, it's evidence that everybody would rather have mortgage advice in a better way, including realtors and including borrowers. So big passion push. Let's get your game face on this week, and let's start looping in the realtor, and let's start delivering a better experience to every borrower. So Mike, anything you want to add to that? And then let's make sure we cover some of your talking points for, looping in the realtor and giving them a video.
Well, Dave, I think just looking at your poll for the people who aren't doing it, how about we just give you a challenge? February is coming up. It's the shortest month of the year. Anybody can do anything for 28 days. Why don't you, for the next 28 days when you get into February, just make the commitment to do a Mortgage Coach presentation and video for everybody that you're going to pre-approve or everybody that you're looking to do a refinance for. Just do it for the 1 month. If your clients don't comment on how much they like the presentation, if you don't find that it saves you time, if your realtors aren't impressed that you've done it, and if it doesn't make you more money, let me know. I will send you a free subscription, okay, to my coaching program where you have access to my entire website for the year. I will give you a 1-year subscription. It's worth $999. I have people pay it all the time. If you try Mortgage Coach for the month of February and you do the videos and you can log and you can show that you did the videos and you can't see, and you're the only judge, if you don't see that it saved you time and it made you money and improved the overall experience and process, then you let me know. You send me an email. I will give you $1,000 worth of free material. You'll have access to my website for the entire year, and I'll make it up to you. I guarantee you'll find transactions with my stuff, and that I can't tell you how much it's going to help you to go ahead and do that. So,
hey, I will.
That's
Mike, I like your challenge, so my team's going to get mad at me. But by the way, if anybody uses Mortgage Coach 10 times over the month of February and you don't get value from it, it's not working with your realtors, first of all, call me, and I'll give you a personal coaching session, and I'll send you $100 cash, personally, Dave Savage. I'll send you $100. So you got to do 10 or more videos. But to your point, let's put some push around that, and 10 plus Mortgage Coach videos for your borrowers and realtors. If it doesn't work, we'll, 1, give you cash, and 2, if it does work, you're just going to get more loans, so you're going to win even bigger. You're going to win either way. All right, guys. So again, today's call has been all about going from price to advice. Being a leader, it's going to be a compliance requirement soon. I just want to make sure everybody knows that no matter how you create these reports, it's pretty darn easy. This right here is just a video, and I'm going to just for the sake of time, move it up 30 seconds, just so we can get this out in a minute. But you see a timer down there on the bottom. That's how much time it's taking for a loan officer. In this case, we're doing an FHA versus a 30-year fixed, and we're just screen by screen updating this. So So this does not take 5 minutes. Now, no doubt, if you're on this call and you've never created a mortgage coach report before, yes, it's going to take you more than 5 minutes. If this is your very first one, it's going to take you more than 5 minutes. And hopefully you have set up templates so you can be really, actually, most mortgage coach loan officers that have created 10 or more reports, they actually have templates set up, and it actually saves them time. They can actually create one of these even faster. So again, by the way, Mike, when's the last time you saw the back end of filling out a mortgage coach report?
I've actually been on a training recently where one of my loan officers actually went through the process, and he showed me he does set up the templates when he does them, and on average it takes him 3 minutes to do the process if it's on his standard loans. It's not a lot of work, and they all tell me the same thing. It takes about 10 or 15 attempts to really get the hang of it, and you'll have your template set up, and you just fill in the information, click, and go.
So real quick, real easy, and boom, you've got an Edge link. You can put that in an email. You can put that in a fax, or boom, click record and add video. So now for everybody that has Optimal Blue with your company, if you're with one of our enterprise partners, you'd have this integration. If you're not, put us in touch with your management team, and we can set up some type of integration. But this is where we're pricing out a loan. And now, if you're an Optimal Blue mortgage coach partner, there's a coach tab. You click, I want this loan, I want this loan. I press the mortgage coach button, and boom, out pops a mortgage coach report. So, today's call is all about pushing, through, hopefully we've inspired you guys a little bit. Hopefully we've shared some ideas and strategies. But getting everybody to go from price to advice, the basics for both borrowers and realtors. Want to remind everybody this is a feature that doesn't get used enough. I know because I see the back end part, but where you could go Edge Live, you could share the link with someone, and then literally, whatever you're clicking on in the desktop, it moves on their mobile device. So if you had a buyer out at a house and things changed, you could actually go into Edge Live and you could drive an active, real-time mortgage coach experience. So if you don't know how to use Edge Live, come to this Thursday's call, and we'll do some training around how to use Edge Live. And then also, there's videos. If you just type in Edge Live, there's videos on how to use that in the meantime. So again, some actions for everybody. Let's create some videos. I want to remind everybody, I think it was last week, I've had Dan Keller in a couple calls for a few weeks where he's actually creating mortgage coach reports. This one was around, old versus new FHA, and he's putting it in his social feed. So there's a link, down there in the bottom corner that you click on that and you go through this link. So, I mean, this is a video that's been watched. At the time I took this picture, it was 1,900 times. It's now been watched over 2,700 times. And this Edge report has been watched, I know over 100 times. So this was something where Dan took a mortgage coach strategy with a rent versus own, put it on social, and shared it with all of his realtors and all of his database. This is an example of mortgage coach in an open house. So price to advice in an open house where you're sharing the link with the realtor, and then the realtor is displaying their device. So again, these are some, as coach, not coach, but realtor Glenn Bill taught, these are some realtor hooks. I call them mortgage strategies. Coach Mike, anything else you want to add as we get into wrap-up mode? We've got about 5 minutes left. Anything you want to add around realtor strategies and how to go price to advice with realtors, or anything from the social strategies perspective?
Well, Dave, I think that you shared a great thing was when he did this video and he put it on social media, and it got that amount of play. It's amazing. My people do the same thing. They do total cost analysis on their realtors listing, and they use it for the open houses, and they just include it on social media for people who are going to, that this house is open, and people will often go through the mortgage coach presentation and see it. And it's amazing the number of people who will go and look at that information and come back and use it. And it's especially because when you're doing these things, make sure that you're reaching out as a loan officer with the seller on those open houses. Make sure that you get this information into their hands and let them know, hey, this is the information on your house. Feel free to share it with anybody you'd like, and if you'd like one for the house that you're going to be buying in the future, please let me know. I'll be happy to make up one for you too. I have had more loan officers get phone calls from people who were selling houses, those people who were the agents' listings, contacting them and asking for help, and they end up writing the loan. Again, it's another opportunity you just can't just walk away from, because you're already there, you're already sharing it. Send it to the homeowner, let them see it, offer to do one for them on the next home. If they don't do anything with it, fine, but what if they do?
So, by the way, guys, there's a great marketing strategy with Mortgage Coach. On the screen right now, I have a checklist of great questions to ask yourself as you're creating a Mortgage Coach video. These are just best practice. I will put a link in the recording of this call when we post it to our YouTube page. I'll put a link to what I call our script kit. So also highly recommend that you watch this video with one of the top branch managers in the country, Tom Toussaint. How do you pronounce Tom's last name? Is it Toussaint?
Toussaint.
Toussaint. And he is sharing why you should be making Mortgage Coach a best practice just from a compliance standpoint. Knowing that the total cost is becoming a requirement, why it makes a lot of sense to use Mortgage Coach and build that habit within your branch. So if you are on this call and you are a branch manager and you have not watched this video yet, I will also have a link to this video in the description of today's call with Coach Mike. So folks, let's wrap it up. Coach Mike White, I'm always grateful when you take time to come in, deliver value, share ideas. I love that idea at the very end where you're talking about how you can create an edge video, make it social, make it valuable to someone who's buying a home, selling a home, valuable to a realtor. Any last ideas or thoughts before we wrap it up?
I think everybody, you've heard on this call, and if you've heard me before, it's getting back to the basics. It's about understanding how does everything I do generate a new loan opportunity or a new referral partner opportunity for me. And when you use that filter, you really put yourself in a position. We do a lot of things without stepping back and looking at how many people we touch in the process. And I love doing these calls for your guys, David. I always get really good feedback from the people because they are more advanced, to be honest with you, than the general public. So they get a lot of this. And I know a lot of this may seem as, being repetitious, or some of it is, well, that's not anything new or whatever. But the reality of it is everybody talks about this whole, outside the box thinking thing. And people who know me know, you know what? How about we get back in the box for a while? People actually like the box. The box wouldn't have been the box if the box didn't work, okay? And I don't care, once you get to 20 or 30 or 50 loans a month and you want to go crazy with yourself, go right ahead. But that's not most people. And if you can refine your systems and your strategies to make it simple to do 5, 7, 10 loans a month in 35 hours a week and really enjoy yourself, the rest of this is really beautiful. So just take your time and understand that, look around. You've got some tools in front of you that you can share. I guarantee you, if you try doing these presentations and the videos and you start sending them to your agents' listings and you start sharing them at the open houses and you start sharing those links and you start putting them on social media, you're going to find a deal or two every month that shows up that you would have never had you not done it.
Love it, guys. So first of all, please vote on the way out. If you're a guest and you'd like to get a demo of Mortgage Coach, click that bottom option, I'd like a demo. And then, again, let us know what you thought of today's call. We're always here with a focus to wow and make sure that you're getting solid takeaways and that this is the best sales call in the mortgage industry every single week. So we'll see you next week. I've got an amazing top-producing loan officer out of Northern California who is just crushing it. And so join us next week for another amazing top producer interview. And Coach Mike, thanks for your time. Have a great day, my friend.
Thanks, Dave.
you.